Hi folks, this is an update from Ivo and I on our recent activities. For the last couple of months, I've had bug-out bags packed and have been ready to flee my apartment. Why? While channeling Ashtar Sharon on the storm, Ashtar told me that they are creating concentration camps to house the unveed, and they have a special hate on for those who are political resistors, and I would fall into that category. So I packed bug-out bags in the event that they come to arrest me and probably others in my city. The situation escalated when Ivo told me one day that he wanted me back on his ship. He said that they can't protect me any longer while I'm on the ground, and my life is in danger, if not from being tossed into a FEMA camp, but also from more viruses they plan to unleash upon us. And you see already that England has had a breakout of hemorrhagic fever, Lassa fever. Why? Because all M's were rolled back, that's why. They will simply roll out more programs because their goal is to kill us, one way or another. As long as there are any of these Satanists in power, we are still in danger. Ivo pointed out with my bad health there's no way that I would survive something like this, so he wanted me on board his ship. I packed necessities for a couple months. The first time I couldn't take Merlin because he wasn't having any of it. Considering my life was in danger, I left him in the house and took off. Normally I wouldn't do that, of course, but my life is in danger. I texted my super to take care of Merlin for me. I drove out on a predetermined route and tried to find a place for Ivo to land. He didn't. I saw his ship that night, definitely, as I was driving east on the outskirts of town. He flew northeast. But he didn't land. So I went home. That was in January. I had problems to work out, not the least of which was Merlin, and I found a solution to that. I asked my neighbor, who is a strong alpha, to put him in his carrier for me. I'm too weak to handle a 7-pound cat with a will of iron. I worked out a couple other problems and then waited for the weather to warm up. I waited until February. I took another shot at it, this time with Merlin in the car with me. I drove around and at one point I said to Ivo, "Ivo, this road is dark. There are no cars on it and no houses. There's nobody here. You could land right now and pick us up." He pointed out the hydro poles. Yes, the grid, folks. Those hydro poles, never mind the lines strung between them, are a hazard for saucers. I hadn't thought of that. Well, when you start looking, every road has hydro lines. They're everywhere. That's what we call the grid. They're in the city, out in the country, you name it, there are poles with hydro lines. Worst case scenario, if his ship gets near them, it's so powerful that it could blow out the hydro system, and no Canadian wants to be without electrical in the middle of the winter. Never mind the lines could fall and land on my car. So he didn't land that time either. Last week I noticed a pickup truck across the street while I was backing out of my driveway. I didn't think anything of it. My neighbor asked me that night if I had seen it, and I said, yes, I was trying not to hit it as I backed out. He said, it was an RCMP, Canadian Federal Police, truck. I said, how do you know that? He said, us guys know all the local cops. He wasn't local, and he had a cap on the back to hold the K9. Then he asked, I wonder who he was here for. I said, probably me. With all my anti-government activities, they already have a file on me. He thought for a second and said, yeah, he did pull away when you left. It's easier to watch people online, really. That's why they created social media, so they can watch who's up to what. They did it because they knew this time was coming, so they know about me. I drove around for a while, looking for streets with no hydro poles. Fat chance, really. I told Ivo I was going home, and as I drove down the Trans-Canada Highway I saw his ship again, flying at warp speed in a northwesterly direction, which is where his mothership is. It's funny to think of all the trucks and cars on the highway driving along oblivious to the fact there's a UFO flying above them. I went back home and thought about it and realized I had to find a piece of land that's still off-grid. What kinds of places could be off-grid still? I thought about the one lake we have near me, and then the conservation areas where people go hiking on trails. I went out during the day to check these places out, and it turns out I found one that was suitable. Perfect, in fact. It's a conservation area. While looking for this conservation area, I realized that I need a GPS app because I'm terrible at even following my own directions. I got lost. I drove down this one country road which I thought was the road of the conservation area, and it had a T at the end. I figured I'd driven too far, and turned around and went back. I drove up this one driveway thinking it to be the conservation area, and realized it was a home with a long driveway. Ivo exclaimed, "This is perfect." Yes, perfect it was for a landing because the home was obscured by trees and the people would be sleeping anyway that late at night. I drove up the driveway and did a three-point turn to turn around, and ended up in a ditch on the side of the driveway filled with snow. The owner came out and he had service. Really, what good is a cell phone when you don't have a connection out in the country? Mine doesn't. He called a tow truck for me. I waited an hour and then got pulled out of the ditch. Even with front-wheel drive, the rear of the car was sinking. There was no getting out without help. I was extremely happy with my reaction, though. All the things that Ivo talks about in taking your mind back from fear in our videos, works. I was probably the happiest stuck person any tow truck driver has ever come across. Most people are consumed with the fact that it wasn't supposed to be like this and then they get into a snit. I didn't. I just enjoyed being out in nature, and I was confident that all would resolve itself. I wasn't even out of pocket because I have a plan with my car dealership. 5 years of towing comes free with the purchase of a car with Kia. So I went home and checked where I'd gone wrong and ventured out the next day. I found it. I found the spot. No homes, no hydro wires, a large plowed parking lot and no cars late at night. Perfect. I waited and packed my house because I'll be moving anyway at some point. Got my neighbor to help with Merlin, and then went out last night. I figured we'd thought of everything, hydro poles, traffic, houses. I knew Ivo was dealing with avoiding radar and military jets. One thing I didn't think of, I parked in the parking lot last night. I looked up and asked if he was there. He said, yes, and I saw him. I wanted to do this yesterday because February 14th is Ivo's birthday. I thought it would be nice for him. When I pressed him to see what was taking him so long, he said, "There are 6 draconian and reptilian ships in the way, my love." Oh yeah, didn't think of that. Now he's engaged in either a standoff or a battle with reptilian ships. Turns out it was a battle. Ivo won't shoot first. They have to and they did. I'm sure Ivo has backup with him and can call for more. But I alerted Commander Aaron, who patrols this area, and then Soren of the Pleiadian Delta forces to help. There's some history to this. Throughout my life, the negative alien alliance has worked tooth and nail to ensure that Ivo and I never connected. The Archons hate twin flame relationships, all of them, and they work hard to keep you apart. If you're both incarnated on Earth, they'll work hard to make sure you learn to hate each other or that a relationship between you doesn't work out. They have their ways, believe me. If you're like Ivo and I, they will work hard to make sure you never wake up and start using your telepathic abilities. Well, that didn't work. Now they are a physical barrier to us being together. I'm hoping Ivo can think of a way to circumnavigate this problem. Why should they be a barrier to our being together? They haven't stopped us yet, so why now? What's more, Ivo promised me before I came to Earth that if I was ever in a life or death situation, he would protect me. And he has before. He helped me survive a car accident 3 weeks after I got my license, at 16. He has stopped many accidents and other attempts on my life that I don't even know about. So now I'm in trouble again, and he is thinking he can't help me. I'm sure he'll come up with a way. As for the reptilian/draconian ships, I thought, this can't be. Am I going to believe this even? I kept looking up to see what was going on and there were clouds so that made it more difficult. I can read a clear sky with stars pretty easily. I can see ships there all the time. But clouds are a different story. Especially those thick blankets of chemtrails like last night's. I looked up and saw his ship hauling it across the sky. His ship appears like a star because that's how they cloak them, they camouflage themselves, but I did see it peeking out at times behind a gap in the clouds. Their ships twinkle more than stars do, folks. That's one way to detect them. But reptilian ships? Really? I looked up again, this time trying to see what was right above my car by squishing my face against the driver's door window. Yes, I saw one. A dark ship, long with a vertical fin-like tail at the end, which pointed upwards. It was there. I sat in the parking lot, thinking about the firefight going on above me. I thought it best to leave as Ivo didn't sound too positive about tonight's situation, and drove home. I've kept my bags packed because I feel I may have to leave in a hurry one way or the other. We may give this a try again or he may use other means to get me to safety. An image of all the Venusians who are walking around among us flashed in my mind. Or Agarthans who are here, same thing. He could involve them and get their help. They're here living in safety, but they're safe because they have all their human faculties, never mind are being watched by their space brothers. I'm being watched by the space brothers, but I certainly don't have all my human super skills. That leaves me vulnerable. Another plan may come to fruition. Another thing I'm going to look at is moving to another province. Why? Because apparently there are premiers who are speaking out against Trudeau's federal government. I have to discern if this is the same old two-party politics or if some of these premiers are actually working for the people. I know Ford isn't and he's my premier. Neither is Legault, so Quebec is not an option either. Life in other provinces can be much more affordable than Ontario. So, we'll see. I'll keep you apprised. Hang on. I'm getting a report on last night's battle. Me, so you took the 6 ships, didn't you, Ivo? Ivo, we did, my love. Nothing to worry about. 6 increased to more than 6 after the battle started, they got reinforcements as did our guys. Me, I wasn't worried. LOL, I'd worry about you driving a car more than you flying a saucer. Besides, you probably can't even fit into my car. LOL. Ivo, we took the 6 ships. Commander Aaron did send out a bevy of saucers to help us. My crew came for the battle as well. Me, how many were there up there? Ivo, around 100 ships. Me, holy. Ivo, we boarded the main Draconian ship and arrested a fugitive we have been looking for many years. A female, in fact, her name is Boreas. She has been a thorn in my side on many occasions and has been instrumental in the Draconian work against you. Me, good. Maybe that will free up some of the troubles I'm having with moods and attacks. Ivo, perhaps. Me, how long did that battle go on for? Ivo, well into the morning light, my dear. Me, wow. It was 1 a.m. when it started. What did you do with the Draconian female? Ivo, she is being questioned. So far she is not cooperating. Me, so you're going to talk to Ashtar about getting me off the planet, then? Ivo, I will. We will let you know when we have another plan. Me, good. Thanks, Ivo. Ivo, my love, your dedication and devotion to this plan is noteworthy. Me, thinking there's a battle going on above me and then seeing a reptilian ship is noteworthy. I take it one day at a time, Ivo. Ivo, very good. What I believe is they showed up last night and not before because we actually had found a way to make this work this time. The only way they could stop us this time was by physically creating a barrier, and they did. I believe they have been watching and waiting all along. Sharon.